It's Thursday, December 18th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. Nova Scotia's deficit grows by tens of millions of dollars in just months. While grocery prices soar, there is one food item suddenly more affordable.
Weather warnings have been issued for parts of the region ahead of the rain and strong winds expected tomorrow.
Live from our Maritime's News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. Nova Scotia's deficit continues to climb to record highs, with tens of millions being added in just a few months. There are big ticket items like healthcare, but natural disasters also added to the cost. CTV's Jesse Thomas is in our Halifax studio. He has more on these numbers. Jesse.
Hey, Todd, that's right. As Nova Scotia closes the books on the 2025 budget, there is a climbing deficit that's expected to reach a record $1.29 billion by the end of the fiscal year. Now, this is prompting warnings of potential program cuts, even as the finance minister insists they aren't looking at any tax hikes.
Each year.
Given the deficit and looking ahead to 2026, a fiscal pullback is likely on the horizon.
We have to let the growth in revenue and the growth in spending kind of match, so we need to slow down the growth in spending.
While revenue growth remains modest, up just 0.9%, spending is accelerating. Expenses were up 4.4%, or $719 million more than was budgeted for. Biggest cost drivers remained healthcare, $416 million, while government restructuring and shifting priorities cost taxpayers an additional $172 million, but Lohr wouldn't elaborate on where that spending went. And the summer wildfires, those costs soared, totaling $33 million. And natural disasters like the drought cost the Agricultural Department an extra $3 million. These pressures are fueling talks of cuts, although Lohr wouldn't say how deep, except that more details would come in the 2026-27 budget slated for release early next year.
So we have put a hiring directive in place for civil service to make sure that when we fill positions, we are strategic about it. That will result in savings over time. And we can do this without impacting frontline workers. We're also looking at reducing grants and programs that cost government by 10%.
Asked if government has a spending problem, Lohr didn't deny things are costing more, but got political, framing the spending as a catch-up after years of underfunding.
We had 8 years of very little investment in many of these issues. We felt the need, I know I felt that in my 8 years in opposition, let's get things done.
Opposition critics argue while spending has put the province in a record deficit, it's done little to help Nova Scotians trying to make ends meet.
That we're on is not sustainable. We see GDP growth slowing down, and they're ignoring that and spending more. What we need is an economy that matches government, and we continue to increase the size of government while our economy suffers.
While there were no concrete answers on how the government plans to cut the deficit, Minister Lohr confirmed no tax hikes are planned. Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
Here's a live look right now at Dunbrack Street in Halifax. That's where it meets Highway 102. Currently 2 degrees. And this shot tomorrow night at this time, Kaylin Mitchell, could look very different because that camera is probably going to be whipping all over the place.
Yeah, we'll see if we don't get some shake on some of those cameras as the winds pick up for tomorrow. That'll be out of the south and southwest. We're going to begin by talking about the somewhat stormy conditions headed our way here in the Maritimes. First of all, they're not arriving for tonight or for Friday morning. Through that period of time, weather conditions should be fairly calm around the region. The winds certainly do pick up quite quickly moving through Friday afternoon into Friday evening. Let's take a look at the timing of this weather system, both when it comes to the rain and the winds. Here we are around noon on Friday, and winds at that time are already starting to become stronger around western areas of New Brunswick and the southwest of Nova Scotia. And they continue to ramp up as we head into towards early Friday evening. That's when some of the peak wind gusts of 80 to 100 kilometers per hour will start making an appearance around southern areas of New Brunswick and around southwestern areas of Nova Scotia. That's when the rain's moving in earnest as well. Remember that the rainfall totals of this weather system expected expected to be about 15 to 40 millimeters. Now, moving through Friday evening and towards midnight, the heaviest of the rain and the strongest of the winds are shifting eastward across the Maritimes, coming across Prince Edward Island, coming across central areas of Nova Scotia, including Halifax County, and building into eastern areas of Nova Scotia, including Cape Breton, where early Saturday morning the rain and the winds clear off towards the northeast, though it will still be quite gusty in behind the main band of rain for this weather system through the day on Saturday, accompanied by some scattered flurries and showers. Wind warnings are in effect across the south of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and across Nova Scotia, and rainfall warnings in effect as well for parts of New Brunswick down around the Bay of Fundy coastline, parts of northern, central, and eastern areas, mainland Nova Scotia, Victoria County in Cape Breton. Remember, while 15 to 40 millimeters of rain doesn't sound like too much, and it wouldn't be in our summer season, Todd, this time of the year, there's some snow, some ice melt added to it, the ground's frozen, you get a little bit more water runoff.
All right, thanks. We'll see you in the full forecast. And we should note that Nova Scotia Power is opening its emergency operations center ahead of tomorrow's winds. They think there could be enough wind action to knock out some power?
Yeah, I mean, similar weather systems of similar strength with similar winds have created some power outages in the region in the past.
Okay, we'll see you later in the show. Thank you. New Brunswick has a plan to cut homelessness by 40%. Can it get there without new money? Here's CTV's Nick Moore.
As we work together.
The provincial strategy is called A Path Home. Its goal by 2029 is to reduce chronic homelessness by 40%.
It's a complex conversation, and it couldn't just be held in one department.
Cindy Miles is the Minister of Social Development, a department that has been historically responsible for issues connected to homelessness. Miles is calling the strategy historic because in addition to the New Brunswick Housing Corporation, it brings in the Departments of Health, Justice and Public Safety, and local government.
Bringing all those folks to one table really expedites decision making. So this is historic in that we're bringing those conversations to one space for decision making.
What that says to me is that the province recognizes this is a complex problem, and it's not one thing, like Minister Miles said. It's not just one lane. It's all of these lanes that are impacted, and all of these lanes need to help.
There is no new money attached to today's strategy. Instead, the provincial government says much of the work is already underway across multiple initiatives, which includes prevention, filling gaps in emergency services, and expanding housing options. It's the first time there's ever been a provincial government strategy focused exclusively on homelessness.
So now we have a standalone document that talks specifically about what the province is going to do.
Greg Bishop of the St. John Human Development Council says Frontline Services will be looking closely at the document to find added support in the new year.
For them, I hope that this is a bit of hope and opportunity to see more assistance and attention on the matter.
Several frontline organizations said they had not seen the document before its release this afternoon. Nick Moore, CTV News, St. John.
The RCMP investigated reports of shots fired in East Preston today. Took place this morning near the 1600 block of Highway 7. A portion of that highway was closed while officers were investigating. No injuries have been reported. One person is said to be in custody. A man is in custody after a bizarre incident this afternoon at Moncton Airport. Kodiak RCMP were called after a man was seen walking on a runway in a restricted area. A 27-year-old Moncton man was arrested without incident. The Mounties say there was no threat to the general public. Officials at the airport say the incident did not affect airport operations. No inbound or outbound flights were affected. The RCMP is investigating the incident. Well, here's something you don't hear very often. It was a packed house at a town council meeting in Sackville, New Brunswick. People were there to hear from NB Power and a presentation on a proposed gas plant for the area that is not entirely popular. CTV's Derek Haggett was there.
There were barely any empty seats inside Tantramar Council chambers. A representative from NB Power delivered a brief presentation on a proposed natural gas plant and then took questions from councillors. There was no scheduled opportunity for questions from spectators, but some did manage to squeeze a few in. The 500-megawatt gas-fired plant project was announced in July to be built by American company Pro Energy.
We are anticipating running out of power in New Brunswick by 2028, and it's this project that's going to help us with that.
Questions range from safety issues, water consumption, the impact on the ecosystem, and whether or not First Nations communities were consulted. Afterwards, some were deeply concerned about the location and the use of fossil fuels.
I'm a millennial, I'm a young person, I'm really concerned about my future. This is exactly the direction that we should not be going.
I just think that the whole question of why they chose Tantramar when it's such an environmentally vulnerable area, why that was chosen, even considered in the first place, was never answered.
The province says the Tantramar area was the only site that meets its schedule and there were no other legitimate options.
I really sympathize with their feelings on this, to be honest with you. Nobody would select a site. There's no ideal site in New Brunswick for a plant like this.
Environmental permits and finances have to be in place before the proposed plant becomes a reality. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Sackville, New Brunswick.
A Halifax street that's been closed for months is reopening. Something of a gift to struggling businesses. You can read about that at our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Last month, food prices rose 4.2%, the largest jump in years. Virtually everything is more expensive, we all know that. But the price of one Maritime favorite has dropped. Now suddenly lobster is a good deal. CTV's Jonathan McGuinness reports from the wharf.
Still nice and hard. Pat DeWolf is refilling the tanks at the Lobster dive in Eastern Passage.
I've honestly have never seen it this low.
With a shore price sitting around $8.50 a pound, resale here hovers around $11, more than acceptable for these customers.
It is pretty good today. I can't argue with that.
It's awesome right now, but I can remember back when they were only $1 a pound, so that was a long time ago.
The landing price of lobster is based on the market. Competition in two areas is what controls how much buyers will pay for the catch. Last season, fishermen were getting around $11.50 a pound early in the season.
It's competition on the wharf. Dealers and buyers need harvesters, so they compete to buy lobster from harvesters. So there's competition at the wharf, and there's competition in the protein market.
Back at the wharf, DeWolf is also cooking lobsters to fill a customer's order. At the current price, he says they've been busy selling both live and cooked lobsters.
We're running out quick, you know, certain sizes like 2 pound plus, we're running out quick. People like that. That's a common lobster, 2.5.
So far, the weather has been pretty good for fishing. A couple days have been missed here and there. With high winds in the forecast for the next couple days, it's expected the boats here will remain tied up, and that could affect the supply of lobster as we get closer to Christmas and what is traditionally a busy time for buying and selling lobster. Jonathan McGuinness, CTV News, Eastern Passage, Nova Scotia.
A delicious question in the web poll tonight. Do you typically buy lobster during the holiday season? If you do, call me, I'll be over. Yes or no are the options, and you can vote at ctvnewsatlantic.ca. Anyone who relies on a Halifax bus or ferry will tell you service interruptions and cancellations have become a frequent frustration. Yesterday, it was a technical glitch, but as CTV's Callum Smith reports, it may be a symptom of a larger problem.
A technical issue with the transit's communication system meant drivers had no communication with the control center for about 6 or 7 hours yesterday.
The complete system shut down.
The city says there was no loss of service, but the union argues it was challenging, especially for Accessibus, which requires pre-booked rides.
It led to some canceled appointments. It led to some missed pickups, some late pickups.
The city says it wasn't a cyber attack, but didn't tell CTV what the issue was. But even on a good day, there's conflicting opinions about transit's reliability.
I've recently sold my car, so I have to use the bus at least like 3 times a week. And I've never had any problems.
Buses can be full, or they're often very delayed, and there's changes in routes a lot of the time, and you just generally can't rely on it.
This rider says his route is usually on time, but today he's stuck waiting.
Buses
looking like it's going to be 15, 20 minutes late, at least.
It's often late and super unreliable.
Councillor Catherine Morris agrees more work is needed.
It sometimes feels like fixing the airplane while it's flying. You kind of have to keep the services going while you're adjusting.
She maintains improving transit is vital to getting the whole city moving, and that dedicated bus lanes are essential to help improve reliability. But sometimes car drivers like hopping in them.
If the public sees a bus moving quicker than they're moving, they'll be more apt to maybe get out of their vehicle and take that bus.
With a growing population and congestion, the union says routes need new schedules because some stop times are more than a decade old. The transit union says one place without congestion is the harbour, and more ferries could help.
I agree with that. I mean, our harbor is an incredible asset, and we could use it more.
Particularly, she says, for a spot like Shannon Park, slated for mass development. Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
You could call it the latest chapter in the never-ending story of a new library for Sydney. After years of debate, a decision has been made for a replacement. Well, some say it's long overdue. Others wonder if it's worth the cost. Here's CTV's Ryan McDonald.
For years, some who use the more than 6-decade-old McConnell Library in downtown Sydney have felt that it needs to be replaced.
The library system needs a new library from the ground up.
Now, it appears that's what they're getting. At a special meeting last night, CBRM Council voted unanimously in favor of a new waterfront library to be built on the former grounds of the Royal Cape Breton Yacht Club.
So Council decided to move forward with an agreement with a local developer.
The proposal is for a new library on the ground floor with a 138-unit apartment block above. The CBRM says the deal would see the developer cover the construction cost up front, with a plan to recoup that money over the next 20 years.
The taxes generated from the residential portion of the building will fund the long-term lease into the future for the library space.
Floor-to-ceiling glass that faces out of the waterfront, which makes such a beautiful space.
The head librarian admits of the many options, a waterfront build was her favorite. She says even today, when people can get books and information online, the use of new library spaces in cities like Halifax and Charlottetown suggest there is still a demand.
Last year alone, we had 30,000 people participate in library programs, so definitely usage is high.
A lot of people are probably thinking I'd be against the new library, but I'm not.
While the CBRM and the library have some money to cover the remaining $10 million cost, Janet Dermody is among those who have some questions about their plans to fundraise for the rest.
If it's not going to help a large number of people, then it would be a waste of money.
The CBRM says construction is expected to start this spring, with the new building opening in 2028. Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Sydney.
We'll take a break now. Still to come, clouds to start the night. They start rolling in. Kaylin will have the full forecast. But next, the dairy dilemma.
The United States has been asking for a number of things from Canada's dairy industry for a long time.
The White House wants to sell more American dairy in Canada. Will Ottawa move on supply management? Look at that next. Well, the United States has made it clear if Canada wants a renewed free trade agreement, it has to let more American products in the dairy aisle. The fear for Canadian producers is that could threaten the supply management system that protects them. CTV's Avery McRae has more.
To ensure long-term certainty of the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement, the United States is calling for sweeping changes within the dairy market.
The United States has been asking for a number of things from Canada's dairy industry for a long time.
Among the requests from U.S. trade officials is expanding access into the Canadian dairy market. Under the CUSMA agreement, Canada has conceded nearly 4% of the market access. According to industry, that results in over $140 million in losses annually for Canadian producers.
They also want to limit our ability to export some dairy products, not just to the United States, but actually to global markets around the world. Each of those changes would have a direct impact on producers and processors in Atlantic Canada.
Prime Minister Mark Carney said it is unlikely to see deals for sectors like dairy to be negotiated separately outside of CUSMA talks, but says he will work closely with farmers on ensuring the right deal is made.
We will always pursue an agreement
that is in the interest of Canadian workers, Canadian families.
The Canadian dairy industry operates under a supply management system which helps regulate the market from both a production and cost standpoint for farmers. U.S. officials argue that this unfairly restricts market access for American products. While dairy producers argue they would lose money under the U.S. demands, Sylvain Charlebois questions why Ottawa should further compensate a sector that has increased production in the last 5 years.
The reality is that trade deals don't necessarily impact supply management and the quota system because they recalibrate quotas. Many farmers have become richer than when the first trade deal with the U.S. was ratified under Trump.
The dairy farmers of New Brunswick declined an interview on the topic, while the Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island dairy farming boards did not respond to CTV by airtime. Avery McRae, CTV News, St. John.
A prominent former judge of Nova Scotia has died. The Nova Scotia Judiciary says former Supreme Court Justice Peter Richard passed away on Sunday. In the 1950s, he served a term on Halifax Council before heading to law school. He was appointed to the bench in 1978 and became best known as sole commissioner on the Westray inquiry in 1992. His final report on that matter generated many changes to work safety law still in effect today. Pete Richard was 93 years old. Still to come tonight, rain and strong winds headed our way Friday. Kalen's working on the full maritime forecast, and we'll have the details after this. That's a nice looking view of Barishois, Cape Breton this afternoon.
That's very nice. Look at that. Blue waters.
Yeah.
Blue sky between the clouds there.
Bit of blue sky.
A little snow.
Yeah.
Or ice, maybe?
Yeah.
We'll see some further melting of that.
I guess it will, hey?
Yeah. Temperatures getting bumped up into the low teens tomorrow for many parts of the Maritimes. Doesn't typically happen for us, though, without some wind accompanying that change.
I was going to say, it comes with a price.
Yeah, that's right. So that's what we're going to be talking about here. Let's take a look, starting off their timeline, and watch how this weather system is going to develop. So the good news first is if you're out there running any evenings or running any errands this evening or tonight, nothing to worry about. Same thing goes for first thing tomorrow morning. The weather system really isn't in place yet. What we are going to be seeing tonight across the Maritimes, a few clouds around this evening and some increasing cloudiness overnight and through Friday morning, with that cloud cover getting lower and lower as we move through the day, especially for western parts of the Maritimes. And then by the early afternoon, it's followed up by the first of the rain making appearance through western areas of New Brunswick and the southwest of Nova Scotia. That rain really moves in earnest as we head into Friday evening and Friday night, coming across the Maritimes in a big band that'll work its way towards the east of the region as we head towards and after midnight. Following up and behind it, there will be some scattered showers and some scattered flurries. Rainfall totals of this weather system looks to be about 15 to 40 millimeters. Most will be in the range of around 10 to 30 millimeters of rain, then a few pockets getting as high as 30 to 40 millimeters. Areas where that is a little bit more likely are underneath rainfall warnings issued by Environment Canada. It includes down around the Bay of Fundy coastline in New Brunswick, parts of the Kennebecasis Valley as well, and parts of Charlotte County away from the coast. And then for Nova Scotia, in and around the Minas Basin area, Cumberland, Colchester counties, Hants County, and then Halifax County, Lunenburg County, and extending across the east of the mainland, as well as Victoria County in Cape Breton. Now, while everybody may not catch the heaviest of the rain, everybody is going to be experiencing some of the higher winds expected. Again, not a big deal for tonight or for first thing Friday morning, but they really ramp up as we move through Friday afternoon into Friday evening. And that's when we start to get into some of these gusts for southern areas of New Brunswick. Around mainland Nova Scotia, that could be between 80 and 100 kilometers per hour, maybe even up to around 110 kilometers per hour for exposed areas of the coastlines. That would include the Bay of Fundy coastline in New Brunswick and parts of the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia. We can't forget about that higher terrain as well as those winds get some enhancement over the Cape Breton Highlands as we move through Friday night into early Saturday morning. Some of the peak wind gusts there could be in excess of 120 kilometers per hour before gradually diminishing moving through Saturday morning. Wind warnings do cover the south of New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island for Nova Scotia. These type of winds can disrupt travel services such as the ferries, so make sure you're checking in on those providers' websites websites for the latest updates. It can lead to some scattered power outages in the region as well. And keep in mind those Christmas and holiday decorations. If you have any out that you do not want wind blown or wind damaged, you might want to think about securing them. Temperatures for tonight at their chilliest this evening. Most of the lows will be around a few degrees below to a few degrees above the freezing mark. Highs for tomorrow, they get bumped up by those increasingly gusty southerly winds, up to between 9 and 12 degrees late in the day for northern New Brunswick. Central and southern areas of New Brunswick with temperatures that get bumped up between 11 and 13. For Prince Edward Island tomorrow, the high temperatures 10 to 13 degrees for the province. In eastern areas of Nova Scotia, the high temperatures as well, low teens, so talking about a range of around 10 to 14. Northern and central areas of Nova Scotia with high temperatures of 10 to 14 degrees as well. The Annapolis Valley tomorrow with high temperatures around 15 degrees. On the south shore of Nova Scotia, you can expect highs between 11 and 13. Now, following up in behind the rainy and windy weather for New Brunswick, flurries and gusty winds out of the west on Saturday, and that brings in some chillier air once again. Coming up in the forecast for Monday of next week, it's a mix of sun and cloud. Flurries expected on Tuesday, and then cloudy periods on Wednesday, followed by a mix of sun and cloud on Thursday. For Nova Scotia, in the forecast coming up on Saturday, flurries and gusty west winds, a mixture of showers and flurries on Sunday. It's flurries in the forecast for Monday, and then a round of flurries Tuesday night into Wednesday. That would be nice because it might give us a shot at a white Christmas for parts of the province as we hit Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, Wednesday and Thursday. And for Prince Edward Island, the forecast, flurries, gusty winds on Saturday, further flurries in the forecast for Sunday and Monday. On Tuesday, it's cloudy periods during the day and a chance of some flurries or snow Tuesday night into Wednesday. After that Christmas Day, looking at a mix of sun and cloud. Todd.
What's the rule? 2 centimeters of snow constitutes white Christmas?
That's right, on the ground. And then a perfect Christmas if you have that and some falling snow Christmas morning.
Okay. Fingers crossed. We'll see you later in the show. Next, we're going to talk about some of the more interesting things that are been seized at the borders in the Maritimes this year. And we have Katie with the scene.
Hi, it's Katie Kelly. Your local entertainment fix is coming up. The stories everyone's talking about across the Maritimes. From big concerts to what's new on screen and stage. See you soon on The Scene.
Okay, so tomorrow we're giving away those $300 pair of sunglasses from Vogue Optical with the What the Hell question of the day.
And Mary Texmas continues.
Yeah, you could win a gift card to Ernest. Good luck.
Welcome back. The borders have been in the news a lot lately for obvious reasons. And yesterday it was announced a vehicle smuggling ring was busted by police and CBSA, largely in Ontario. But there is a connection to the East Coast. Joining us is Dominique Mallette, Regional Director General for Canada Border Services Agency Atlantic. And it's good to have you with us again. This is becoming a regular tradition.
Thank you for having me.
I mentioned that that bus, Project Chickadee. It was mentioned that Halifax was one of those ports in which vehicles were being sent abroad.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Just this last fiscal year, Todd, we seized 127 vehicles and preventing them from leaving the country. That's about $4 million a vehicle. How the connection is made is because most of the vehicles that we seize come from either Quebec or Toronto. So we seize them, gather intelligence, share with police partners who send referrals to Toronto, and they build their investigative cases based on this information, which led to some of this arrest.
While impressive, that's just a very small portion of things that you're seizing. Contraband cannabis.
Yeah.
Quite a bit being exported.
Indeed, a big year this year. We seized so far 16,000 kilograms of cannabis on export, as you pointed out. This is probably 4,000% more than we did last year.
4,000?
4,000% more than we did last year, in fact.
And what do you think's behind that?
The answer is our cannabis is one of the best in the world. Whether it's grown legally or illegally in Canada, it's got a high THC content and sought after, especially in Europe, but around the world, which is why it's that prevalent.
Well, we talk a lot about illegal firearms, which come into the country, which is always something I know that we've discussed in the past, and that continues. But you've brought a couple items tonight.
Indeed, I did.
Which are involved in that sort of sphere.
They are in some extent, in fact. Yeah. So this is what we called, so these are declared as fuel filter.
Okay, let me hold this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Fuel filter is what you would buy it.
Correct. And the declaration from the importer is what it says. We know they all come from China. It has zero filtering capacity or capability.
It's not a filter.
Not at all. It's
So what's it used
100%
for?
intended to be a silencer to be screwed on a firearm to muffle the noise of the firearm. Yes.
Okay, you're seeing those. What else?
What else do we see? So with the increase in people being able to buy things online, sometimes you buy products that you don't realize may not be legal in Canada. So knives are a famous example. This is a knife that was bought online in the United States or in a foreign country. Any knife that can mechanically open like this or close is not legal in Canada. So we see a lot of people ordering these. They are sexy. They're not available in Canada, and they are not legal. Okay. For the same reason. And they're highly concealable as well, because you can retrieve the blade.
The next one's really interesting. I think a lot of people will recognize this. I'll hold it up. You know, I think the corporate name is Taser, but the stun gun. Yeah. Why are you seeing these? Who's bringing those in?
Again, I think those are brought in by a number of people. Some of them think it's a funny toy to have. Many are brought by organized crime groups or street gangs to be able to defend themselves. Not legal in Canada. The only real purpose that is legal is in the farming industry, if you had to put down an animal or otherwise, but certainly not illegal to possess, carry, or any of that in Canada.
So is there a disconnect there where Canadians may see something like this online and they think, well, look, if I can buy it from an online supplier, then it must be...
It's exactly what's happening. Yeah. I would say to you, if you see something sexy online that you've never seen in Canada before, but you're interested, I recommend you call the border line services of the CBSA to get clarification on whether or not these can be imported in Canada. Unfortunately, it's not always clear on the internet, but something to consider.
This is something I hadn't thought about. Of course, it involves the CBSA, but there's so much talk now about trade, diversifying our trade, finding new markets, developing things like critical minerals. All that has to be exported. So this is all coming through your people. Is that changing the complexity of the work?
Certainly going to change the volume of the work, as you pointed out. First, I'm going to say that just this year alone so far, we collected $3 billion of duties and taxes for the government. I think as an agency, we might be at $70 billion, so all of that goes in the coffer and helps us pay for whatever it is we need to. Most of the building, the nationwide building project, in fact, will have either an import or export component. I think the Prime Minister is seeking new partnership overseas, which automatically involve the CBSA, whether, again, it is on import or export. So I think the marine ports will get a lot of attention in the coming months, because that's how most of the goods come from overseas, in the marine mode.
In the few seconds I have left, that means more people are coming your way.
Indeed, announcement was made.
In terms of staffs, Bill C-12?
Bill C-12 was announced, I think, last week, looking at 1,000 new officers for the CBSA. 800 of those will be frontline officers at the border, and the other one will be in support of frontline, but also either undercover, working in the trade stream, or commercial, but significant lift for the CBSA. Much needed as we get additional export authorities to protect Canadians and the rest of the world.
Dominic Millette, it's fascinating. We appreciate every time you come in to tell us about this. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
We will take a break. We'll be right back with more of your local news right after this.
The opinions expressed in this segment are solely those of the commentator. They do not purport to reflect the opinions or views of this station, CTV News, Bell Media, or its employees.
Tonight in Murphy's Logic, Steve has some reflections on the season of giving and one cause that embodies the spirit of the holidays.
The sights and sounds of the season are all around us. The lights, the trees, the candy canes, the carols, and the familiar sound of a ringing bell near the Salvation Army's ubiquitous Christmas kettles. This season is of particular importance to many in the Christian community, but one need not be a person of Christian faith to observe this season. Indeed, it's difficult for non-Christians to escape it, given its pop culture dominance and commercial importance. and its vital role in fundraising for good causes, like the Salvation Army. Beyond what's in those famous red kettles, the Salvation Army administers funds raised by our own Christmas Daddies program to help those in need. But the Salvation Army is a bit like Christmas itself. Of Christian origin and spirit, it is in fact a Christian church. But one need not be Christian to benefit from its good work. The Salvation Army provides more direct social service assistance than any non-governmental organization in Canada, year-round. Hundreds of millions of dollars last year, with only a small fraction going to fund its own congregational ministries. And the Salvation Army has been operating here in the Maritimes for more than 130 years. The Army's long and honorable history and good work is also something we can all celebrate in this, the season of giving. I'm Steve Murphy.
And Steve will return. Turning to health headlines now, a major decades-long study reveals a potential link between high-fat cheese and dairy and a lower risk of dementia. CTV's Amanda Debison has the latest. Tonight's edition of The Lifeline.
A study out of Sweden has looked at the possible link between eating more high-fat cheese like cheddar, Gouda, and Brie, and a lower risk of developing dementia. The Swedish study found that people who consumed 50 grams or more of high-fat cheese a day had a 13% lower risk of dementia than those who had less than 15 grams daily. Those who ate 20 grams or more of high-fat cream every day had a 16% lower risk of dementia than those who ate none. High-fat creams include whipping cream, double cream, and clotted cream. Researchers say while the study doesn't prove that consuming high-fat cheese and creams daily lowers the risk of dementia, it does show an association. The study was published in the medical journal Neurology. Your holiday sniffles could be caused by more than just the cold weather. Your Christmas tree may be the real culprit. Few people are truly allergic to pine trees, but your Christmas tree could be still triggering your symptoms. According to the Cleveland Clinic, real trees sometimes carry mold, pollen, and even tiny critters. Artificial trees can also cause problems because they can accumulate dust in storage. It's suggested that you wipe them down before setting them up, and after the holidays, store decor in airtight containers. If you've opted for a real tree, don't keep it too long because mold spores increase over time. Finally, experts say to watch out for fireplaces and scented candles, which can also aggravate allergies. Finally, we have smartphones and devices to keep track of our health. Now we have smart floors. Engineers at the University of Surrey are using floors equipped with motion tracking as part of a study. Volunteers walk across the floor to see how different setups affect balance. Results will be used to protect people from falling. Researchers say the key is to figure out the balance between softness and stability. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for The Lifeline.
Thursday night on the scene with Katie Kelly. Oh, it's a dream come true for a popular Cape Breton comedy duo.
It sure is, yes. Tracy and Martina quickly sold out 2 Halifax shows this week, and they're adding a third. The pair announced this week that they're bringing their live show to venues across the country, including the Lighthouse Arts Centre in Halifax. One show has quickly led to 3 shows after the first 2 sold out very, very fast. You can still see Tracy and Martina live with details on show number 3 coming very soon, but you can expect quick wit, big personalities, and a night you definitely won't forget. I'm so proud of them. This is a big deal.
It's very impressive. That's a lot of people.
It is, yeah.
And another Halifax-born storyteller of sorts is coming home.
Yes, Steve Poltz is returning to the Maritimes this spring.
We are all on a conveyor belt in a factory on the wheel of time.
Poltz is bringing his signature sing-along show and brand new album, Joyride. The tour kicks off April 15th in Berwick with 3 nights at the Carlton in Halifax, April 17th, 18th, and 19th. He'll also stop in Iona, Pictou, and Fredericton for a series of intimate, up-close performances. I don't think I knew he was born in Halifax.
You won't know this either. I once sang Happy Birthday with Steve Poltz at a party in Beverly Hills.
Okay, I'm going to need to know more about that later.
That, as they say, is another story. One of Canada's most celebrated voices returning home.
Yes.
To the Maritime.
Yes. Yeah, coming to visit. Lorena McKennett is marking the 30th anniversary of The Mask and the Mirror with a special tour. She performs October 13th in Moncton, the 14th in Fredericton, 15th in Charlottetown, 16th in St. John, and October 17th in Halifax at the Cohen. Tickets to see her live go on sale tomorrow.
I say coming home because I think a lot of people thought she was from here, given the kind of music she does.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
And she did spend a lot of time here at the height of her career. New TV series on the go?
Yes, this is so cool, Todd. So from a 135-year-old octagon barn overlooking the Bay of Fundy comes a powerful celebration of East Coast music.
I had open brain surgery 6 months ago. That's what I'm getting ready to sing from.
Live from the Round Barn blends intimate interviews with unforgettable live performances featuring Alana York, Garrett Mason, Champagne Weather, and Old Man Ludica. Captured in Old Barns, Nova Scotia, this 4-part series brings viewers inside the lives of working musicians on stage and off. Live from the Round Barn is now streaming on Bell 5 TV1 and the Bell 5 TV app.
What a cozy venue.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Have you been?
I have not been, but I did a little feature leading up to the show. Yeah. And the Old Barn seemed so cool, and people got to actually go be part of the audience. So next time, definitely on my list.
Yeah, I bet the acoustics are kind of neat in there.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We will see you tomorrow night, and we will wrap things up with the business report and the wake-up weather after this.
Mornings with Aaron and Peter.
We're giving away $20,000 to one lucky Move family member tomorrow with Move's 20K holiday.
Consider it our Christmas gift to you. We'll give it away just after 8 o'clock.
On the markets, the Dow ended the day up just 65 points. U.S. inflation data was released, and the numbers surprised economists. Let's get the details from B&M Bloomberg's Morella Fernandez.
Inflation in the U.S. cooled last month, the annual rate coming in at 2.7%. Economists had expected it to be 3.1%. October inflation data wasn't released during the government shutdown, making it hard to determine if inflation in the U.S. is trending down. Still, investors like the news, sending the markets higher today. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar ended the day up at 72.60. West Texas Intermediate up to 56.07. Western Canadian Select up as well to 42.66. And the TSX moved up 190 points to end the day at 31,440. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
Okay, so all the financials are up. How about the temperatures?
It's cool out here, Todd, and it's going to be warming up, as we know, over the next 24 hours, but that's at the same time that rainy and very windy weather moves in. Let's take a look at our viewer picture for tonight, and this is a nice shot and a little bit of a chilly-looking one. This one's coming in from Edith Dextrays from near Stanley, New Brunswick, and you can see it's a nice scene here with that fresh coating of snow down on the ground, a little bit of blue sky above. Thank you so much for that, Edith. The Stanley area for tomorrow, I mean, morning, no problem. But afternoon into evening, that's when the rain starts to move in and the winds really begin to ramp up, and looking at a high temperature of around 10 degrees. Day planner for tomorrow across the Maritime region. So we start off the day with increasing cloudiness. Cloudiest conditions during the early morning hours will be New Brunswick and western Nova Scotia. Morning temperatures will be mostly around the mid to high single digits. Winds at that time already from the south and southwest and starting to pick up a little bit. And then for the afternoon, that's when that rain starts to move in. First into New Brunswick and southwestern areas of Nova Scotia, then the rest of the Maritimes as we head into Friday evening and Friday night. As the rain moves in, those south winds really begin to pick up as well. Conditions becoming quite high and gusty as we head through Friday evening and Friday night. Todd.
All right, Kalen, thank you. We will see you tomorrow. Finally for us tonight, forget Budweiser. Here is the true king of beers. There he is, King Charles. He spent part of his day today sampling beers as he visited the brand new Guinness Open Gate Brewery in London. The brewery opened the location today, as well as sampling a flight featuring 3 different beers. The King enjoyed a choir performance and explored food offerings, which included a cake, I think we're going to see it, decorated with Guinness logos. He liked the beer. It's Guinness. Who doesn't like Guinness? That's a look at our day here at home. Bruce Frisco will be with us after the national news tonight. CTV News Atlantic.ca has updates in the poll. I'm Todd Battis. Would love to see you right back here tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Until then, have a good night.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast. Watch live on Crave.